The first thing to note about this slide is the scale at the top of the page, which starts with 50-year increments, then down to 20 and down to 5. The game of international softball squash was born in 1830. 80 years later, US racquetball began. In 1976, so nearly 150 years after squash, a game called uk-racketball began. This game became recognised by England squash nearly 20 years later when the first England Nationals took place. In 2016, given the potential for confusion for a global sport called racquetball with a CK, the game was rebranded by England Squash and the World Squash Federation to Squash57. Both the singles and doubles games of Squash57 are played on the same regulation international squash singles court. Squash57 uses the exact same court markings, except that Squash57 does not use the service line on the front wall, the faded line in the diagram. The squash singles court is 32 feet long and 21 feet wide. The squash doubles court is also 32 feet long, but 27.6 feet wide. The hardball doubles court is 45 feet long and 25 feet wide. Squash57 is played with the same racket as American racquetball, which can be no more than 22 inches in length. This is 5 inches shorter than a squash racket. The more popular frames weigh between 150 and 180 grams. The major brands include Caracal, Head and Dunlop. The Squash57 ball is 57 mm in diameter. That is over 40% larger than the 40 mm squash ball and is therefore heavier by 2/3. Squash balls are known by their rebound resilience, i.e. how bouncy they are, and this is measured by dropping a ball from 100 inches, 254 centimeters, and measuring the height of the ball's first bounce. The double yellow dot squash ball is the least bouncy of the 4 main squash balls. Squash57 has 2 balls, the black, which is about twice as bouncy as the squash double yellow dot, and the blue, which is about twice as bouncy as the single yellow dot. The US racquetball ball is more lively than all the squash balls. There are about 10 manufacturers of Squash57 balls, including Caracal, Price and Dunlop. Squash57 balls may vary in quality and bounce consistency, so I would recommend that players use balls that are approved by the WSF. The Squash57 rules are similar to squash with a couple of notable exceptions. The serve. For the serve, the ball is hit off the bounce. If the first serve is a fault, then the receiver has the choice to stop play and request a second serve, or to play the fault itself. Doubles. Players strike the ball alternately, the striker rotating. Scoring is the same as squash, point to rally to 11, and if tied at 10-all, a player must win by 2 points. Matches tend to be the best of 5 games. There is a Squash57 rules poster on the WSF website. Squash57 is a global sport that is played on squash courts. The WSF Squash57 Commission will be promoting Squash57 wherever there are squash courts today, which means every country in green or blue on this map is in our target audience. Squash57 is a lifetime sport. It is the fun-loving close cousin of squash.